Welcome back, students. Today we'll see the one of the very important topic of the microengineering is Smith chart. So as I mentioned, it is the one of the very important graphical tool for solving the transmission line problems. So any complex transmission line problems can be easily solved by the this graphical way, and it is called the Smith chart. So to simplify the transmission line problems, graphical method which is called Smith chart is used. One can say that the Smith chart is a converter which convert the impedance to the reflection coefficient. So it is a one-to-one mapping from impedance to the reflection coefficient or a vice versa. So for solving any transmission line problem, once we have a either load impedance or any impedance, then we can convert into the reflection coefficient of the transmission line, or in a vice versa situations, if we have a reflection coefficient at any point on the line, we can also find out the impedance of that line. So as we know that the impedance can either have a real and the imaginary, both the part. So based on the which types of the impedance that you are using, you have a two types of the Smith chart. So we have a two types of Smith chart. One is called the compressed type Smith chart, while another one is called the standard Smith chart. As I mentioned that the how what will be the values of the impedance, based on that the these types defined. So if you have a real part of the impedance and the is a x-axis, and if this one is your y-axis, which actually express the reactance of the impedance, then if full both the side of the plane is used for transforming this impedance to the reflection coefficient plane, then it is called the compression type of the Smith chart. Generally this type of the Smith chart is not widely used, though it contains both the positive and active circuits. Generally we are using the standard Smith chart type of the Smith chart, where only the real part of the positive side of the Z is used. So let this one is your normalized real part of the Z, and this one is your reactance of that normalized Z. And then we generally use this standard Smith chart, which actually mapped one-to-one mapping from the positive side of the real part of that z, which is greater than equal to 0, will be mapped into the reflection coefficient, which value will become less than or equal to 1. So we will first see how we can construct this standard Smith chart, and by obtaining this standard Smith chart, we also have to find out the x and r circles. So we will also derive the constant r circle and the constant x circles. So let us see the derivation of the Smith chart. So as I mentioned that the Smith chart is constructed within a circle of unit radius, which is should be less than or equal to 1. So let us first have a draw a one circle. So I have already drawn one circle. So let it has a imaginary axis which can be expressed as sigma I, while we have a real axis which I can express as a sigma r. So now we have a one unit circle which is having a real part which is sigma r, which is nothing but the real part of the reflection coefficient, while this one is called the sigma I, which is nothing but the imaginary part of the reflection coefficient. So let me note down this part. So sigma r as a real part of the sigma, while sigma I can express as the imaginary part of the sigma. So while constructing the Smith chart, as we have seen that we are transforming the z plane, which is the real part of the positive half plane, which is transformed into the unit circle, where unit circle's reflection coefficient magnitude can be maximum 1. So here the reflection coefficient maximum radius that I have drawn is sigma mod is nothing but equal to 1. And as you know that whenever there is a maximum reflection coefficient, it means that for that passive circuits the standing wave ratio is equal to infinite. And so I can say that the outermost circle which actually express the maximum magnitude of the reflection coefficient. Now let me define the another point, the center. So the center point I can express, it is nothing but the 0 0, and this point actually express the point at which the reflection coefficient magnitude become 0. So it means that in a transmission line, this point can be considered as a maximum transmission. It means that there is no reflection. So the standing wave ratio I can express as s equal to 1 for this point. So it means now I have expressed the 2 point, one is at a 0 reflection point and one is at a maximum reflection point. So this is your 0 reflection point at which standing wave ratio is 1, and the maximum reflection point at which the standing wave ratio equal to infinite. Now for defining the reflection point at any point on this unit circle, let me put one point, for example this. At this point, if we have a maximum, let me connect this, then I can use this vector as the magnitude of that reflection coefficient at that point. I can express this angle as the angle of reflection of that point. So the construction of the chart is based on the relation that we already have. The reflection coefficient gamma is equal to ZL minus Z0 over ZL plus Z0. So we know that where ZL is equal to the load impedance and the Z0 is the characteristics impedance. Of the line. Or I can write the sigma s also as in polar form the magnitude and the angle of the reflection coefficient. So this one is the magnitude of the reflection coefficient and the angle of the reflection coefficient theta gamma. I can write the reflection coefficient as I mentioned that it is the real part. It consists of the real part and the imaginary part. So sigma r plus j sigma I. So let us we use these relations for constructing the Smith chart. So as we know that the characteristics impedance of the line may have a different value. For example, 50 ohm may have a 60 ohm, may have a 100 ohm, or may have a 120 ohm. So for each value of this characteristics impedance, if we will try to do the or construct the Smith chart, then it is very difficult. So we will use the concepts. It is called the normalized impedance. So once we know the normalized impedance, based on this normalized impedance, if we have the result, then we will once again convert into the original values. So let us we have the normalized impedance, normalized ZL, that is equal to ZL by Z0. Even I can write down this normalized impedance is also having a complex quantity, so it is having a R plus JX, where I can write the R is nothing but the real part of the normalized impedance, where X is equal to the imaginary part of the normalized ZL. So our objective here to find out the constant R, which is also called as a resistance circles, and the constant X circles, which is called the reactance circles. So once we have the constant R circles and constant reactance circles, we can superimpose these two circles over this gamma plane, and we will finally obtain the standard Smith chart. So let us try to first find out this R and the X circles. So let us construct the first of all R and X circle. So constant R circles x circles. So for obtaining these constant r and x circles, we will use our previous relations as gamma can be written as the sigma r plus j sigma I, which is nothing but equal to the ZL minus Z0 over ZL plus Z0. So if we will use our normalized load impedance relation, which is nothing but the ZL by Z0, then the gamma can be written as the normalized ZL minus 1 over normalized ZL plus 1, and that is equal to nothing but sigma r plus j sigma I. So now we have a relations in terms of the sigma r, sigma I and the normalized load impedance. So first of all we will try to get the expression in terms of the normalized load impedance. So let us try to get that normalized load impedance expressions, and for that let us multiply this denominator to this numerator and try to simplify the expression. So if we will multiply, then we will get sigma r plus j times sigma I multiplied by the normalized ZL plus 1 is equal to normalized ZL minus 1. So now let us simplify. So it will become sigma r normalized ZL plus sigma r plus j times sigma I into normalized ZL plus j times sigma I, and let it put here this part is also on the left side, so minus normalized ZL plus 1 equal to 0. So now let us simplify once again. The expression is in such a way that let normalize ZL, and this one is nothing but our sigma r, and then let us put this part here, so plus j sigma I, and once again this minus ZL, so I will put minus 1 here, plus we have a 1 plus I have a sigma r, so I put it down here, so 1 plus sigma r plus j times sigma I, and that is equal to 0. So now we have a the expression in terms of the normalized ZL can be obtained. So now ZL can be written as minus 1 minus sigma r minus j times sigma I, that is equal to sigma r plus sorry 1 minus plus 1 minus j times sigma I. So now let me put it on a positive sign. So let me come out minus come out. So this will here also we will come out the minus signs. So the expression will become now the 1 plus sigma r plus j times sigma I, that is equal to 1 plus sigma r plus minus j times I think minus, here it should be plus, so here you will get the minus. Okay, so you have now the such a expression in terms of the normalized load impedance, but still this expression can be expressed as a plus jb over a minus jb term, and it is still it's a complex expressions, and still we do not have the direct real and imaginary part. So I can write the normalized ZL can be as r plus jx, so where r is nothing but, as we know, that the real part of the normalized load impedance, and x is nothing but the imaginary part of the normalized load impedance. So somehow we have to simplify this expression is in such a way that we will get the real r and the x expressions. So let us first try to simplify this expression is in such a way that we will get the real part and the imaginary part of this normalized load impedance. As we have 1 plus sigma r plus z times sigma I divided by 1 minus sigma r minus z times sigma I, and our objective is to find out the real and imaginary part of this complex function. So for that, let us multiply by the 1 minus sigma r plus z times sigma I over 1 minus sigma r plus z times sigma I. So as you know that if you will multiply now this term, it will become like if 1 minus sigma r is equal to a and sigma I equal to b, then it is nothing but the a minus jb, a plus jb, so it will become a square minus b square. So denominator will become 1 minus sigma r whole square, and because j into j, so we will get the j square, so it will become minus 1, but here once again so minus, so minus minus will become plus, so we will get the sigma I square. So now let us simplify the numerator part. So for that, let us multiply directly. So 1 plus sigma r multiply by 1 minus sigma r plus 1 plus sigma r into multiply by the j times sigma I plus j times sigma I 1 minus sigma r minus, so j into j, so it will become j square, so minus sigma I square. So once again let it be simplify, so we will get the 1 minus sigma r plus sigma r minus minus, so sigma r square plus 1 plus sigma r j times sigma I plus j times sigma I 1 minus sigma r minus sigma I square divided by the 1 minus sigma r whole square plus sigma I square. So you can see that minus minus will cancel out, minus plus. Same way here also you will see the j sigma I positive part and j sigma I minus, so this part will also be cancel out, so we will get finally 1 minus sigma r square minus sigma I square. So I try to separate out now the real part, so these are the real parts, so 1 minus sigma r minus sigma I square divided by 1 minus sigma r whole square plus sigma I square. Now I separate out the imaginary part, so plus j, now we have a 1 sigma, we have a j into sigma I and plus j into sigma I, so it will become 2j sigma I divided by 1 minus sigma r whole square plus sigma I square. So you can see that now we have a real part, this one is a real part which is nothing but equal to r, and imaginary part which is nothing but equal to x. So now I have a real part of the normalized impedance, and same way I have a imaginary part of normalized load impedance. So I can write as the x equal to and r equal to, so r equal to is nothing but 1 minus sigma r square minus sigma I square divided by 1 minus sigma r whole square plus sigma I square. Same way I can write the x equal to, I am writing here, so x equal to 2 sigma I divided by 1 minus sigma r whole square plus sigma I square. So you can see that now once again we have a equation in terms of now the r and x, but still it doesn't looks like a circle equations. So once again we have to uh, restructure this expression is in such a way that it looks like a circle equation. So let us once again rewrite this expression of the r and x is in such a way that it looks like a circle equations. So for that, first of all I am doing the for a real part, which is nothing but r. So r equal to, now we have a 1 minus sigma r square minus sigma I square divided by 1 minus sigma r whole square plus sigma I square. So let us now once again try to rearrange this expression. So first of all let me multiply. So r into 1 minus sigma r whole square plus r into sigma I square, that is equal to 1 minus sigma r whole square minus sigma I whole square. So we have now the, this term is nothing but the 1 minus a minus b whole square. So we can simplify that 1 minus 2 times sigma r plus sigma r square plus r into sigma I square, and that is equal to 1 minus sigma r square minus sigma I square. So let us once again rewrite this expression. So it will become r minus 2 times of r into sigma r plus r into sigma r square plus r sigma I square, and let me write down this part here. So it will become plus sigma r square plus sigma I square, and that is equal to 1. So let us rearrange once again, this term is in such a way that this sigma r square and this sigma r square, so I will put common, so r plus 1 into sigma r square. Now I put these terms, so minus 2 r sigma r plus, same way I have a sigma I square and I have a r into sigma I square, so I can common the sigma I square, so it will become r plus 1 divided by is equal to the 1 minus, so this r I put it over here. Okay, so now we have such a expressions which still it doesn't looks like a circle equations. So let me once first of all divide all this term divide by the r plus 1. So dividing, so divide by the r plus 1 term, we will get sigma r square minus 2 times r over r plus 1 into sigma r plus sigma I square, because here there is r plus 1, so it will eliminate. Same way here also there is r plus 1, so r plus 1 divided by r plus 1, so it will eliminate. So we will get the 1 minus r over 1 plus r. So now we have a equations, but still it's not exactly looks like a circle equations. So let me add the two terms is in such a way that sigma r square minus 2 r over r plus 1 sigma r plus, I put it here, r over r plus 1. So I add one term which is nothing but equal to r over r plus 1 whole square. So this term I have added, and now because I have added, so I am removing once again that part. So subtract r over r plus 1 whole square plus I have a sigma I square, and that is equal to 1 minus r over 1 plus r. So you can see that now this expression is nothing but equal to the sigma r minus r plus 1 whole square. So now we have these equations. Now we have this is nothing but equal to plus sigma I square is equal to, so I put it over this part over right side, then I will get the 1 minus r over 1 plus r plus r over r plus 1 and its whole square. So if I will simplify, then I will get that it is nothing but equal to 1 over 1 plus r whole square. So finally I have a such a relations which is nothing but consider as a constant r circle. So let me write down here these same expressions. So this expression sigma r minus r over r plus 1 and its whole square plus sigma I square is equal to 1 over 1 plus r whole square. So you can see that now this expression is considered as a constant r circle expressions. So this is nothing but the constant r circles equations. Same way we can obtain for a x circles. I am not solving the x part. I am directly writing down here the for a constant x circle equations is sigma r minus 1 whole square plus sigma I minus 1 over x whole square, and that is equal to 1 over x whole square. So finally I have a two expressions. One is for a constant r circle and this one is for a constant x circles. So by using these two constant r and x circles, we will construct the Smith chart. So we will see in next class. As we have seen in our previous session that we obtained the two circle equations. One was the constant r circle equations and another was the constant reactance circles. So let me write down once again that expressions. So for a constant r circle, we have a sigma r minus r over 1 plus r whole square plus sigma I square, that is equal to 1 over 1 plus r whole square. Same way we obtained for a constant x circle, equation is sigma r minus 1 whole square plus sigma I minus 1 over x whole square, that is equal to 1 over x whole square. So finally now we have two equations which is generally a circle equations with the similar kind of these expressions that we know that x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square, that is equal to a square. So this equation is nothing but the circle equations with the radius of a and the center is at h and k. So if we will compare with these two equation, then we will get that for a r circle the center at sigma r and sigma I, we have r over 1 plus r and 0. So r over 1 plus r comma 0. For a radius we have a 1 over 1 plus r. So now for a constant r circle we have a typical point where the center can be obtained and the radius. Same way for constant x circles we can write the center at sigma r sigma I equal to 1 comma 1 over x. Same way the radius is equal to 1 over x. So now we have the two major circle equations and its center and radius is. So now let us take some typical values of these constant r and x circles and try to construct the typical r circle and the typical x circles. Let us take some typical value of the r and try to obtain the typical r circle. So let us have first r equal to 0, and for this the radius will become, for r equal to 0 we have a radius become 1 over 1 plus 0, so it will become 1, and center of this circle will be at, for a 0, so r equal to 0, so you will get 0 0. So the point for typical value of the r, normalized value of that load impedance r, the radius is 0 0 and the center at the 0 0 and the radius is 1. So if we will draw, then we know that the for a typical value of this r equal to 0, we have a in a y axis sigma I, and here in a x axis we have a sigma r, and for this case where r equal to 0, the center is at 0 0. So obviously now if we will take the radius equal to 1, then this radius will be nothing but the this circle. So it means that for a typical value of the r equal to 0, or typical value of the r equal to 0, the Smith chart is having a unity circle, which is nothing but the outermost circle. So I can write that here this outermost circle is nothing but r equal to 0 circle. So same way, let us take the another value. So let us take r equal to 1. Then for this r equal to 1, we may have a radius will become here it is 1, so 1 over 2, so it will become radius become 1 by 2, and the typical value of the center will become 1 by 2 and 0. So now if you will try to plot the circle for this case, then we can see that the point center at which the circle lies is nothing but if this is the case where it is nothing but the 1 comma 0, then maximum radius is nothing but if it is 1, then somewhere here we will get the 1 by 2 0 point. So if we will take the 1 by 2 this point and radius also at a 1 by 2, then we will get the circle will become looks like so if you draw accurately, you will find that the circle will become in this fashion. So this circle is nothing but r equal to 1 circle. So same way, if I use the typical value now equal to 2, for example, then radius become 1 by 3, and it will be also at a point at a 2 by 3 and 0. So for this case, if I will draw, then I will see that the circle will become smaller and smaller, and it will move towards the point 1 and 0. So it may be possible that for r equal to 2, I have a circle like this. So this circle is nothing but r equal to 2. So same way, if I use the value 5, then for this typical value 5, I may get the center at 5 by 6 and 0, and the radius will become 1 by 6. So my radius will become radius will reduce, and I may get the circle in this way. So this circle can be considered as a r equal to 5. So let us put the once again some smaller value of the r. Then in that case, let us take r equal to 1 by 2. Then for this case, it is nothing but r equal to 0.5. So 0.5, the radius will become 2, and the center will become sorry, radius become 2 by 3, and the radius become the 1 by 3 and 0. So if we will draw for this case, I will see you can see that we may obtain the circle which is larger than the r equal to 1 circle. So we may obtain typically this type of the circle, which is nothing but r equal to 0.5 circle. So from this we can see that as you go on increasing the r value, the circle moving towards the point 1 comma 0. So it is on a rightmost side. Same way, if I use the extreme case where r equal to infinite, then in that case the radius become 0, and the point will become at 1 comma 0. So it means that this point, the rightmost 1 comma 0 point, is nothing but r equal to infinite point. So this way, this type of the typical circles, we can say that as a constant are circles for typical values. So same way we can plot for x circles also. So let us take the some typical value of the x, and then we will try to plot the reactance circles. So here, for some typical value of the x, for example, the radius is nothing but 1 by x, and the center is at 1 comma 1 over x. And for this case, if we will let us take one case where radius is 0. So for this case where x equal to 0, the radius become 1 over x, so it will become infinite, and the value will become the point at which we have to draw this circle will become 1 comma infinite. So let us once again draw the real and imaginary part axis for these x circles first. So this one is real part axis, this one is imaginary part axis. So for this case we can see that for x equal to 0, the radius of this circle is infinite. So what does it indicate? And the point at which the this circle will lies center lies is at a 1 comma infinite. So it means that when any circle radius is having infinite, we can consider as a straight line. So it means that there is no reactance part for x equal to 0. So this axis, this positive real axis, can be considered as a x equal to 0 circle. So now we have a complete this x equal to 0 circle is nothing but the straight line which is lies on the positive real part of the reflection coefficient only. So now let us take the another typical value. So before that, let it be complete, and that here it may be possible that that the reactance part can either have a positive values and may have a negative values. So whenever we try to put the normalized reactance typical value, so let us start with the one typical value which is nothing but plus 1, and then for this plus 1 we have a radius will become once again 1, and the point at which the center lies, it is nothing but at a 1 1. So for this case, if I will draw, then the point is nothing but as you know that this point is nothing but the 0 0 point. Here the point is nothing but the 1 comma 0 point, and as I have extended this, so I have a now point 1 1, and I can say that this one is nothing but a 1 minus 1. So for this case, if I draw the circle which is centered at a 1 1 comma 1, and which is having a radius 1 equal to radius equal to 1, then it may be possible that I have such a circle which is like a because it I not drawn it accurately, so I can say that the circle may be in this way. So you can see that the circle will be typically looks in this fashion, but as I mentioned that we are not at all interested other than the sigma mod sigma less than equal to 1 value. So we have not included these circles for these x circles, circles. So that's why we have not added that part. Same way, if you use the x equal to -1, I may get the typically this type of the circles which actually represent x equal to -1 circles. This express the x equal to 1 circle. So you can see that now if I increase the re, re, the values of this x, then the circle radius become as small as small as you increase the radius, and it will concentrate towards once again at a point 1 comma 0. So let us take another sample value, for example x equal to plus or minus 2. Then we will see that we have a circle for a typical value of the x equal to 2 may be lies in a this way. So this circle is nothing but equal to x equal to 2. Same way I may have a x equal to -2 circle, and the radius for this case typically if I will put, then I will get the values will be nothing but the 1 by 2 and 1 plus or minus 1 by 2. So because of this I am getting this type of the circle. So as on I increase the values, for example 5, then I will get the radius become 1 by 5, and for this case I will get the center will be at a 1 comma plus or minus 1 by 5, and for this case once again the radius circles will move closer to the 1 comma 0 point. So typically this can be considered as a x equal to plus 5 and x equal to minus 5 circles. So suppose you use such a value of the x which is lesser than the 1, for example 1 by 2 positive and negative, then in that case is also you will get the radius become 2 and the center point will be at 1 comma plus or minus 2. So for this case we can see that now the circle will be larger than the these ones. So for example if I'll put the positive side plus 1, then typically I may have a 1 comma 2 point, and for this case if I have a radius equal to 2, then approximately I may get the circle may lies in this fashion, and it will end here. So this circle become x equal to positive 2. Same way I may have a typical value for x equal to minus 2 circle, sorry 1 by 2 and minus 1 by 2. So this way we can draw for any value of the typical x, and we can see that as you go on increasing the values, for example infinite, positive infinite or negative infinite, the radius becomes 0 and it is concentrating towards the 1 comma 0 point. So once again it will for this case x equal to infinite, the circle which is having a radius equal to 0 and the point will be equal to 1 comma 0. So this point is considered as a plus or minus infinite point. So this way we have a constant x circles for some typical values. So if we will now superimpose these two R circles and the X circles, then we will get finally the Smith chart. So we will see this part in our next session. Thank you very much.